Right. So get ready, because today we are going deep on Bitcoin mining.
Sounds good.
I know. When
System.
So it's all about distributing trust.
Right.
Like
Right.
not having all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Power and trust are spread out across the network.
Okay. But I have to ask, what about the environmental impact of all this? I've heard mining uses a ton of energy.
Yeah, that's a big concern, and it's something people talk about a lot. Mining does take a lot of energy. There's no denying that. And, critics say that it's not good for the environment.
Right. Understandably. But I've also heard about miners using things like solar power and wind power.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, it's not a simple situation, right? Some mining operations do rely on fossil fuels.
Yeah.
But more and more miners are looking at renewable energy, like solar and wind. And we're actually seeing them moving to places where they can use things like hydropower or geothermal energy.
Wow, interesting.
Even using excess solar power that might otherwise go to waste.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a real push to find more sustainable ways to do this.
Yeah, definitely.
But let's be real, mining isn't cheap.
Right.
Right? You need these special ASIC machines and all that electricity.
Right.
So how can someone like me, an average person, get involved?
You're right. The cost of getting started can be pretty high if you're trying to do it all by yourself. But there's a way for smaller players to participate. It's called mining pools.
Mining pools, what are those?
Think of it like teamwork. Instead of going solo, you can join forces with other miners and share your computing power, and then you share the rewards, proportionally.
Oh. It's kind of like crowdfunding for miners.
I like that.
Yeah, so it makes it more accessible, gives you a better chance of actually earning some Bitcoin.
Makes sense to strengthen numbers, right?
Exactly.
So that makes sense, like crowdfunding for miners, strengthen numbers. But with the puzzles getting harder and those halving events shrinking the rewards, can mining really keep going? In the long run? Or is it only going to be profitable for the big guys, the ones with huge operations?
Yeah, that's the big question a lot of people are asking. I mean, as the difficulty goes up, it definitely gets tougher. You need more powerful computers, more energy, and all of that costs money.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think that as Bitcoin keeps going up in value, even smaller rewards are going to be worth it.
So there's room for both, those huge operations and the little guys, the individual miners, to stay in the game. Exactly, yeah. But the future of Bitcoin mining, it's not just about the money and technology. It's also about regulations and how governments around the world are going to deal with this whole thing, this growing industry. Some countries, they're all in on mining. They see it as this big opportunity for economic growth. While others they're more careful. Some are even banning it completely because they're worried about the environmental impact or maybe some other thing.
It sounds like it's kind of a wild west out there, with every country doing its own thing.
It really is. And that just makes it even harder to predict what's going to happen with mining in the future.
Speaking of the future, you mentioned this thing called the Lightning Network earlier. I've heard about it, but I don't really get what it is or how it could affect mining.
Oh, it's really interesting, and it could totally change the game for Bitcoin. The Lightning Network, it's basically like a second layer on top of the blockchain. Think of it as a network of these payment channels that run alongside the main blockchain.
So instead of every single transaction needing to be checked by miners on that main blockchain?
Exactly. The Lightning Network lets people send Bitcoin directly to each other super fast with almost no fees, and it doesn't slow down the main blockchain. It's like having a separate highway for all those smaller, quicker transactions.
That sounds incredibly efficient. But remember, the learning doesn't stop here. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the world of Bitcoin.
And until next time, stay curious.